everybody, and welcome back to our channel. Today we are in Mexico City, La Ciudad de Mexico, and we have a special guest visitor to the channel.
Hi everyone, I'm Cianja.
And Cianja has lived in Mexico City for almost 20 years, and she will be showing us around Mexico City. But with that being said, there are some reasons why you may not want to move to Mexico City if you're thinking about it, and Cianja is going to tell us some reasons why you may not want to.
Okay. Let's get walk. Well, even if it's a beautiful city and it's a huge city, there's some things that are not so fun. One of those, it's the pollution. It's a really polluted city. You can start to feel dizzy, start to bad breathing, because plus of that, it's in a really high place, so you can start feeling that lack of oxygen. That's a bad point. Another, it's as any large city, you have a lot of traffic, a lot of people, so sometimes even when you go to a really close place, you can take a long time to get there. In the peak hours, in the subway or in the public transportation, there's so many people that you can get in, or even if you get in, you can be hurt. One time in the subway, I get my glasses crushed for so many people.
Wow.
And that's really not funny. But well, it get me experience, and that teach me that it's better to wait an hour in, I don't know, in a coffee shop or in a store or even in a park before you get in the public transportation, so you can avoid the peak hours. It's not really well-planned city, the Mexico City, so it starts to going down because we are over what it used to be a lake. Now it's dry, and that's why it's hollow under the city. That makes some places start to go down or to start to crumble.
So the city is sinking.
Yes. I don't want to say it that way, but because I love the city, but it is. Also, as probably everyone heard in the news, there's a lot of earthquakes, and it could be really scary because we have lost many lives in earthquakes here in Mexico City.
Oh, no.
Almost every year there's a lot of earthquakes. Not all of them feel that hard, but every time in a while you feel like you're going to die. And it can make you feel really stressed because we have a seismic alert that starts to sound few seconds before that earthquake. Sometimes it works, sometimes don't. But when you heard that sound and you have lived a hard earthquake, you start to feel in panic. You know, it's a really big sound. It's a scary sound, and you don't know what's going to happen. Sometimes it sounds and you kind of don't feel anything. But there are sometimes that there are buildings that they're coming down at your side. So it's really scary, that part. That's the reason why a lot of people move from Mexico City to other places.
Wow.
Because it was really traumatic.
Wow.
Another thing, we are really close to the volcano, to the Popocatépetl, and now that it started to kind of trying to get it in eruption, so it's also scary. you can have lava, magma, and get everything destroyed, or not, and only have a lot of ashes in the air. That doesn't help with the pollution.
No.
But it's also a thing that could happen. This city is made to be destroyed, apparently.
Like Puebla.
Yes. The other thing, it's being such a tiny city, but so many people. There are neighborhoods that have, for example, lack of water. There are places that are not really secure because there are so many people, and that can be kind of dangerous. There are places that everyone says, "No, please don't go there." You probably don't get off that neighborhood. There are really nice places like this neighborhood, but there's another ones that you see all people in really need, that they can find a job, and that can make them feel stressed and make them violent. So it can be very dangerous sometimes.
Wow.
But, well, you're also see the difference. Seeing like a pass from one neighborhood in a lot of need, and just the neighborhood at his side, it's really rich.
Right.
And it's impressive when you saw that kind of stuff. See the difference between the rich and the poor people just one block away.
Wow.
People here can be sometimes rude because life here is stressful. You live in a rush every time, so that doesn't make you kind. That make you really stressed people, really rude people who doesn't care if you are asking something nicely or if you need anything, because they only can focus on herself and their self. So that's a contrast with other places in Mexico where people are so nice and so helpful and want to help you with anything, and when it saw you like, oh, you're not belong here, I'm going to help you, I'm going to invite you, I'm going to show you things. Here it's the opposite. It's like, you're not from here, please don't talk to me, I don't care about you, I'm not going to help you, I can't waste my time helping you. But I believe that's common in the big cities, that you work a lot, you live in stress, you live in the traffic, and you don't want anything else more than rest.
And so Brittany brought out that you've lived here in the past for 20 years, but where are you living right now?
Right now I live in Morelia.
And in your opinion, is Morelia very similar to what you described in Mexico City to be?
No, Morelia, it's really different. It's a beautiful city, but it's a smaller city with a more quiet environment. People are more easy, more, how can I say it? They don't live stressed. Sometimes I get stressed by that because I'm used to get everything fast. Here in Mexico City, if you go to a shop, if you go to ask for a service, they are going to take your order really fast, and they are going to try to give your stuff faster as they can, because they want you to leave quickly, because they need to attend more clients. In Morelia, it's like, oh no, calm, don't worry, I'm going to check. And when you're from Mexico City, you want everything fast, and you feel kind of desperate when you saw all the calming in Morelia. But at the same time, you need to think, well, why the rush? Isn't it? I don't have anything to do after this. Why do I want everything so fast? But it is because you are used to that.
I think that was a great point to bring out, because Brittany and I, we're from, as the viewers probably know, we're from New York City. And everything, for the most part, in New York City is very quick, very fast. And when we came to Mexico, not only just Morelia, but also other places, La Paz, no matter where we went, we noticed that the culture is a lot more slowed and a lot more chill. But it seems like Mexico City is probably a lot closer to New York City in the way that you have that very kind of rushed lifestyle, even though here it still seems less rushed than New York, in my opinion. But I could only imagine what you're saying, because Morelia, for example, where we are right now, also, it's a lot more relaxed than probably somewhere like this.
Yes, well, it looks like calm right now, Mexico City, because we are not in the peak hour. So the people that we are seeing in the streets are probably resting in the vacation, or I don't know, doing a less stressing job. But when there is the peak hour, that it's the time that people going to get in the office, or when they're going to go to home, it can be crazy, and everything is quick, and everyone are trying to get to the destination as fast as they can. So they start to pushing you, they start to yelling at you. The subway stop to scene as a subway station, it looks like a sea of people.
Wow.
It's crazy. So when that peak hours pass, everything looks calm.
So something that I wanted to bring out is something that I experienced this morning when I went to go to the gym. I was turned away from the gym because I didn't have sneakers on. Now, this may or may not be a big deal to some people, but the reason I'm bringing it up is because this is the first time that this has ever happened to me in Mexico. So, in contrast to the United States, when you get off the plane, when you're from the United States, when you come here to Mexico, you get off the plane, and at least me, and I know a lot of other people, you feel like you can breathe, you feel like you can live in a little bit less of a strict environment. And that's because the United States has so much bureaucracy. There's a lot of rules, there's a lot of regulations, and Mexico is a lot more relaxed in that regard. Most of the places we've been in Mexico have been very relaxed, very little regulation, or at least very little enforcing of regulation. And something as small as going to a gym in Crocs was never an issue for me. But now that we're in a city, you can see some of the regulation is a little bit more enforced, because there's probably a lot more problems considering you're in a big city. So you're going to have more rules, more regulations, more people, and that causes the environment to probably be a lot less free feeling, a lot less relaxed than in other areas of Mexico, like I mentioned. So something small like that, or something as big as the noise, because I haven't heard more honking in Mexico than in this city. The closest place before this was Guadalajara, but this is a lot worse than even Guadalajara. So yeah, just some contrasting thoughts in case you're coming from the United States.
Well, yes, because there's a lot of people. They're like, it's not a law, but they have like a dressing code to a lot of places. You're going to find that there's some restaurants, there's so malls that they don't like for you to go so informal. So it's not a rule sometimes. It's not an obligation, but it's kind of like a cultural thing. And it's hard to understand because it's not a rule. You can find a book or something that tell you can or can't do something. It's more from the experience, and because the people told you, oh, are you going to, I don't know, the movies dressing like that? Are you sure? And it's weird because you said, well, it's only a mall.
Right.
But
We had a viewer once who's from Mexico. I don't know what part in Mexico. But we had a viewer once criticize the way Brittany and I were dressed when we were going on a real estate tour. And it was just a simple real estate tour. To us, it wasn't anything. We've been on many tours where people, t-shirts, jeans, but to them, they actually said to us, oh, you're dressed like you live in a trailer park and you're going
too casual.
Right, too casual.
Yes.
So maybe he was from an area or a culture like the one you're talking about.
Yes, probably. And it's because in Mexico we are trying to be really polite. For people, it's kind of like our signature. And for us, it's not polite to get too casual to some places.
Right.
It's like kind of like if you don't respect them. No? Like if I told you I not respect you enough to dress more formal or put an effort to my dressing code.
Right.
That again, it's not a rule, but it's really cultural. And for us, seeing, I don't know, someone who is really, really casual and go to a concert, for example, it's like, okay, you are going to a presentation. How can you do that?
Right.
So it's more cultural. And we get to the subway.
We are at the subway.